surpassed the whites. For blacks who are 90%, for blacks and colors, who are 90% of the population, only 10% of them managed to go through university. You cannot rely over such a small percentage to change the fortunes of this country. Forget it. Not in a million years. And that is not changing. Why did the Indians become successful? In 1953, when Verwoerd said, what's the use of teaching Bantu child mathematics when it can't use it in practice, the Indians did a different thing. They opened their own schools and taught children mathematics. There was also an advantage because they came as family, as indentured labor. Not because they were indentured labor, but as they came as family. For blacks, of course, you had to go trek from Transkei to Sfikile until your wife came and said, in Mansur, Sfikile, the iron ore mines in Tabazimbi. I said, well, the Transkei guys were there. The Tswana women treated them well. The women from Transkei said, no. This thing, Eastern Cape, they got there. I was working there in 84. I was asking, what's the name? Why is this name Sfikile? So I got to know that these women came from the Eastern Cape. They said, Sfikile Asibuyi. So beginning in Transkei might do that here in Bafokeng. So this is the dilemma that we have. So the Indians started doing things differently. And then their children, as they stood behind the counter, cashing for groceries, the father said, Abdul, you are a doctor, you are a lawyer. Yeah, so that he doesn't stay there on the counter. He said just like that. He says, doctor. So the Indians are in those categories of professions, and that's why they have surpassed the whites here. But the blacks and colors, forget it. 90% of this country, depending on this weakness here, it's not going to go anywhere. That is why education is so crucial. That is why this demographic dividend is so important. Not demographic potential. Any politician who tells you about demographic dividend in South Africa, go and tell him to go and tell it to somebody else. We are not doing the right things to copy from the Indians in order to deal with the legacy of Verwoerd. Now we have introduced